want to thank and thank you for coming out today while we came in. That was really very nice. I really appreciate everybody out there. Really cheered me up anyway. So now I'm going to turn it over to George, and he's going to tell you what we're doing, why we're doing it, and just I'm going to let you take it.
All right, just let me talk.
Yes.
Hey, everybody relax for a few minutes. We have a cozy room here. Most everybody in the room has been with us, and so thank you. I've met everybody here, so I don't know where you come from to here. But I'm going to share a little bit about what we're doing, if you don't completely know, and then we'll get on with our program for tonight. Thank you, Commander. Are you going to stay here with us? No. Scary one. All right, great. Anyway, my name is George Lutz. I'm the founder of the Honor and Remember organization. The America's Run for the Fallen is a kind of a subsidiary. It's one of our established events. It's a one of a kind, historic, because it's never been done like this before, and probably won't be done again. So the amount of effort and time and it brought us to this point right here in Worthington, Indiana, on our 83rd day of running. Our organization was founded 10 years ago on Memorial Day of 2008 to bring public remembrance, public recognition, a way to say thank you and appreciation for that which we all live under, the freedoms that we enjoy. And so we thought one of the best ways of doing that, a friend of mine who just left us last night actually started the very first one for the fall, actually ran the very first one for the fall. It wasn't that he started it, but he founded that name and ran a plan to call their names out loud across the nation. So we gathered the names of, if you look at our van, if you've seen our van, it says 5 months, 120 days, 6,100 miles, or 20,000 heroes. And a lot of people ask me, well, where do you get that 20,000? Because if you just look at the battle casualties of the War on Terror, you'll see that there's around 7,000 that are accounted for. So 7,000 died in theater, overseas in some method. But that 20,000 is compiled of every single service member who has died in the last 18 years, regardless of method. They could have died in training, they could have died, by some contracted disease, they could have had health problems in some way. It doesn't matter. As long as they died while serving, then they are accounted for in this number of 20,000. We have even gone further with that number and have done something that no one has ever done before. Besides the fact that no one's ever compiled this many names, and actually, and so we have service related years ago, and we've been adding I would say at least once a month, we're adding the next group of casualties of those that have given their lives. And so we continue to add. We just added 37 more names this week, and we will be adding and accounting for every single service member who will have lost their life all the way up to our final ceremony in Arlington Cemetery on August the 5th, where we will have named the last person that would have given their life up to that moment. So we call this the most comprehensive fallen veteran tribute ever conceived, because we've taken the time to try to identify every single service member. And so we put those names together, we put them in a database. You could go to our website, runforthefallen.org, and do a search on any date of death or any name of a fallen service member. And it will tell you where in the country we're going to honor them. And really what day and what time is pretty precise. And if that's not there, if you put a name in there and they can't be found, then there is a place to add them. So we've even given the ability for anyone in the country to add service members who may have died after the fact or may not even have been accounted for by the DOD. Depending on how done. There's a lot of cases where that notice is just not given. Don't know why, but so 1,000 heroes were divided into their, or I say divided by categorized by their individual date of death. So we took all 20,000, we figured out what their dates of death were, how many that would be, and this is how we came up with our 6,000 miles. A mile for every day that someone died. So we say we're running for miles or markers. We're actually running for individual dates of death. And this is what brings us to this moment. Has put us through 19 states. We are now at state number 12 in our trip across, to Arlington. And we have run, I don't even know what our total is,
3,074.
327, 27? No, 74?
74.
3,774 miles we have run in the last 83 days. And so if you take that number as I've just defined, that's 3,774 unique dates of death. And those dates we have ran for and called out over those 83 days, over 15,000 service members of our 20,000. So the largest compilation of those heroes has been in the first 83 days. We have 35, 36 days to go, and 7 more states. So we have a lot more heroes to call out. Today we ran for 47 dates of death. 47 days of death and 179 women. So you can do the math on that. A lot of service members' names were called out today. When our runners come up to read, they'll tell you what dates that encompassed, but we're only running through 2011. We started with, and I didn't say this, October 12th of 2000, which was the bombing of the USS Cole. That was our very first mile. And then every date after that was another mile, so subsequent day. Now running to the end of 2011. This is where we are right now. So you can see how we're progressing through the earlier years. And so our future dates obviously are those that have died, ahead of us, and we'll be running through the next 7 states. So it is quite an undertaking, physically and emotionally. You can imagine that every one of these men and women, these are names that we're calling out. These individuals have families. Many of those families are out on the road with us. And so the emotion of that, is, beyond words. It's really hard to explain. But what we're doing is we're calling these names. We know very seriously that these are lives lost. These are lives lost. And so ceremoniously, I've got some more. Ceremoniously, we have a routine of what we do at each mile, and we hope to be reverent and respectful and consistent. How many of you have watched us? We have a live feed on our camera. How many of you have watched us live? Okay. So a few of you have seen us live. So what happens is we have our team of runners, and they're carrying 4 full-size flags while they run. That makes it even more demanding, obviously. They're not just running. And the runners will tell you that it's easier just to run a marathon than it is to run a mile and stop, and then run another mile and stop, run another mile and stop. It's very, very physically demanding. Then they have to carry full-size flags. And so they're carrying the United States flag, they're carrying the state flag of the state that we're in. They're carrying a flag that we created a few years ago that honors fallen police and fire, called the Honor and Sacrifice flag. We carry that flag. We're very often escorted by police and fire. And we want to make sure that they are aware that we are remembering their fallen as well. Although we may not be carrying or reading their names, we're still remembering the sacrifice of public safety. And then we're carrying the Honor and Remember flag, which is our national symbol of remembrance and the legacy that we hope to leave in America. And so very important. We're also carrying the placard with the names and the date of death for that particular marker. And we're carrying a set of flags that equates to the lives that are on those placards. One set of flags for every life. And so it'll be an Honor and Remember flag and a U.S. flag. And so those are being carried to the marker. And then those markers, the runners call to attention. Come on.
Sorry.
That's all right. Come on in, family. Hey, guys. Those markers, the runners come to attention. We ask if there's any Gold Star families present. Sometimes there are. Today we had one family for the day. And then they proceed to read that marker. This hero marker is dedicated to all those military service members who lost their lives on this particular day, whatever that day is we're running for. And then they read the names of those on that placard, and then we plant flags in the ground, a set of flags for every name that's called in honor of that service member. And then after that is done, we come to attention, we render either a hands over our heart or a hand salute in honor of them, and then we placards and the next set of flags, and we move on to the next marker. And we do this mile after mile, marker after mile, all day long. We're up at 5 a.m., we start running at 7, and we don't stop till that day's markers are done. And as I mentioned, the markers, we finished a little early today, which is good for us because we have a lot to do to get ready for the morning, and this is part of what we do is to be able to share our vision with those that are with us and share the healing. And so one of the things that, where did I do with that flag?
In the corner.
Just going to share this with you because the importance of calling out these names. When we stop calling out the names of those that have sacrificed for us, then we really truly have forgotten us again. And we really truly have forgotten who they are. And we don't ever want that to happen. You know, the families are all remember. You know, we remember every single day. But the rest of our nation has a really short memory. And I can go, long minutes about all of that, but I won't. Not just for the families, but the families are the ones that most appreciate it. And I'm going to show you a flag that we've decided to be appreciative behind an effort like this, that is calling every single name out loud, and not just saying we're doing it. And not only that, but broadcasting it to the world so that anybody on the internet can watch us do it and participate in the honor of being part of this historic. One of the things we do in the evening again of those that we ran for during the day, because it's a very noisy day. And very often when we're reading a name this huge truck goes by. All you see is, our group honoring, but you don't know what they're saying. And so it's very disconcerting sometimes, especially when a family's out there listening and they're waiting for that name, and then boom, all of a sudden, the noise is louder than the voice. And so what we like to do in the evening is to reread the names so that they're read in a quiet place. And also, it gives everyone an opportunity that is with us to hear those names and to actually stand in for those who aren't actually able to be with us. Very, very important. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read those names for this portion of our time together. What I'd like for you to do is everyone, if they would silence your cell phones before we start reading. Somebody's phone will go off with some wonderful tune that nobody's ever heard of. But we're going to ask those who want to be a part of reading the names to come up and read. And if everyone you do not have to stand. If you want to stand, that's up to you. We have 9 names that we're going to read. It's going to take a few minutes.
Dates that we ran for today were September 2nd through October 19th of 2011. Sergeant Chester, United States Army. Dwayne Lee, United States Army. Private First Class Tuan Min Yun, United States Army. Sergeant John Wang Yen, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jermaine Sherrill Seabrook, United States Army. Sergeant Reynardo Chase Woodford, United States Marine Corps. Warrant Officer 1 Joel Philip Hocker, United States Army. Private First Class Zinri Getmani Villanueva, United States. Specialist Vincent Frank Contreras, United States Army. Private First Class Torres Juan Josu Vasquez, United States Army. Airman First Class Christopher Benjamin Basinger, United States Air Force. Tech Sergeant Todd Brown, United States Air Force. Lance Corporal Edward G. Rhodes, United States Marine Corps. Private First Class Christoph J. Marquise, United States Army. Gunnery Sergeant Christopher Edward Cunningham, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Stephen M. Evans, United States Army. Specialist Quinones Kelvin Ruben Martinez, United States Army. Sergeant Charles Ward Croft, United States Army. Airman First Class Javante Quinzavios Jordan, United States. Major Keith Austin Kelly, United States Army. Master Sergeant David Reege, United States Army. Sergeant First Class Elhaini Miranda, United States Army. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas
J. Biden Ardiella, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Jose Emmanuel Melbourne Sr., United States Army. Staff Sergeant Keith F. Rudd, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Daniel A. Quintana, United States Army. Sergeant Quentin Lori Thomas, United States Army. Corporal Joshua Aaron Hume, United States Army, United States Navy. Lance Corporal Brian Edward Zuniga, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Adam Brenton Cash, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Patricia Gale Brown, United States Army. Sergeant Daniel R. Adams, United States Army. Lance Corporal Luis Angel Anis, National Guard. Corporal A. Dutcher, United States Marine Corps. Staff Sergeant Andrew Staff Sergeant Michael W. Hosey, United States Army. Sergeant Garrick L.
J. Rollell, Baez, United States Army. Sergeant Robert James Menas, United States Army. Specialist Jesse Aaron, United States Army. Sergeant Tyler N. Holtz, United States Army. Lance Corporal Samuel D. Johnson, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Franklin Naaman Watson, United States Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Donald Dryden, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Xavier Base, United States Army. First Lieutenant Andre Zimmerman, United States Army. Sergeant John Rasfal Williams, United States Army. Airman First Class William Malone III, United States Air Force.
Specialist Francisco Alvarez Jr., United States Army. Specialist Machado Jonesy, United States Army. Specialist Garrett Major Conrad Rafael Fernandez, U.S. Army. Chief Warrant Officer 4 Brian Ray Lauter, U.S. Army. Leon, United States Air Force. Evan Lackenwich, United States Army. Specialist Steve Dwisky, United States Army. Private First Class David Drake. First Lieutenant Ryan Lanali, U.S. Army. Staff Sergeant Nicholas Sprotsov, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Christopher Diaz, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Cable John Robert Wimpy, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal John Wimpy Cable, United States Marine Corps. Rear Admiral Kurt Lance Kunkel, United States Navy. Specialist Adrian Mills, United States Army. Corporal James McKenzie, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant Michael Thomas Bookwich, United States Army. Jonathan Lee Britt, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Jason Michael Prokop, United States Army. Jesse Lee, United States Army. Major Eric Orlando Scott, Army. Specialist Richard Stephen Hetrick, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Devon Zenon Torres, United States Air Force. Petty Officer Caleb Nelson, United States Navy. Sergeant Michael Francis Steele, U.S. Army. Private Anthony Ray Secreto, U.S. Army. Staff Sergeant Caesar Private Chen, U.S. Army. Sergeant Kimberly D. Ayer, U.S. Army.
Specialist Tywin Raphael Smith, U.S. Army. Lieutenant Corporal Thomas, Lance Corporal Thomas John Sower, Jr., Marine Corps. Specialist Austin Hunter Monk, United States Army. Sergeant Catalina Marie Reyes, United States Army. Captain Conan Ashley Gray, United States Army. Private Alexis Roberto Fuentes, Jr., United States Marine Corps. That's Corporal Thomas Joseph Starrell, United States Marine Corps. Lance Corporal Benjamin Whetstone Smith, United States Marine Corps. Sergeant John Tyler Good, United States Army. Lieutenant Corporal Robert F. Weisner, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Ricardo Soros, Jr., United States Army. Captain Drew E. Russell, United States Army. Captain Joshua Sean Lawrence, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Barry Wayne Maxim, United States Army. Master Sergeant Walter James Davis Jr., United States Air Force. Sergeant Juan Carlos Garcia Jr., United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 3 Taylor Michael Alexandria Fields, United States Navy. Chief Warrant Officer 2 James B. Weichel, United States Army. Sergeant Nathan L., United States Army. Lieutenant Lance Corporal Terrence Lamont Stovall, United States Marine Corps. Petty Officer 1 Christopher Robert Ekman, United States Navy. Staff Sergeant Sean Nicholas Howardson, United States Army. Specialist Sergeant First Class Jonetta Marie Wilkins, United States Army. First Lieutenant Aaron Richard Miller, United States Army. Chief Petty Officer Michael R. Tantham, United States Navy. Sergeant Charles Frederick Henry, United States Marine Corps. Specialist Jeremiah Lieutenant Corporal.
Staff Sergeant Ryan Curtis Olney. Private Gregory Anthony Salas, United States Army. Specialist Michael D. Elm, United States Army. Sergeant Ronald Evans Taylor, United States Army. Sergeant Major Daniel Allen Owens, United States Army. Specialist Olaf Alonzo Hill, United States Army. Major Stephen James Engler, United States Air Force. Sergeant Sean Michael Riley, United States Army. Petty Officer Second Class Amandio James Dakota, United States Navy. Private James Allen Oliver, United States Army. Captain Michael Paul Harab, United States Army. Airman First Class Corey Ryan Cook, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant James R. Leap Jr., United States Army National Guard. Petty Officer Second Class Malik Ali Christopher, United States Navy. Petty Officer Second Class Julian Austin Ford, United States Navy. Master Sergeant Scott Philip Pendle, United States Air Force. Staff Sergeant Jorge M. Oliveira, United States Army National Guard. Chief Petty Officer Raymond J. Border, United States Navy.
I got one more.
We're not done.
Wait.
This one? Warrant Officer, Warrant Officer William Sonny Hinchman, United States Army. His date of death was July 17th, 2009. It was we honored him day 66. It was mile marker 2,997 on June the 11th, 2018 in Iowa. His mom, Nina Hinchman, is here.
With my son in tomorrow, Christopher Barnes. The other Rangers that you had read today was Specialist Holtz from the 2nd Ranger Battalion. And Sergeant Holtz, his brother. He had Mr. Sergeant Holtz had 3 brothers at home, and one of the youngest brothers joined about a year later and is at the 2nd Ranger Battalion, where Sergeant Holtz was serving with, so they have him back there. And then Specialist Siros, you read his name off today. He was in the Ranger training with my son, RAS training, and left the same time and got to the 2nd Ranger Battalion. In October, we noticed it was California. And yes, we did travel a little bit today here in Ashland, maybe around 1,300 miles. Come from Colorado. Lived with George a little while, running into him in Marseilles, Illinois. Knew that honor and remember was a good thing. And, so it's a good thing. And the flag that we have there is a 6x8 flag, so our runners, if you're here tomorrow, sign it. It flies on a 30-foot flagpole up on 99,200 foot elevation, Rock Hill by our Ranger cabin that we're eventually going to have for some of the fallen families and those still serving to get out there and get a place to get away. So we know what it is. So
Thank you.
thank the others for being here. And the lady here for,
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to call out a name this week?
Make
grandson-in-law, Matthew Kimmel, was killed in 2007, just about 7 miles from where my son's helicopter went down. He was killed with a landmine. Matthew Kimmel.
Someone in the back, yes, ma'am.
Yes, Gary Brewer, he was a Vietnam vet, and he was in the Army and the Air Force, and he was a member of this community, and so he's very deeply missed.
Thank you. Anyone else? We could just bow our heads for a moment and reflect on the names that were read today, ran for. Amen. Thank you. One of the things that brings us greatest joy as we're able to and follow this vision across the country, as you know, calling those names out loud is one of the things that we have a great joy in being able to have times, and we have in Indiana almost every evening, is to be able to honor particular families in a special way. And so, reverently and respectfully, encased in a shadow box and meant to stay that way forever is kind of a gift from a grateful nation as a reminder of that loss. But this flag mirrors that fold only one time. And once it's unfolded, it's really meant to be a symbol of appreciation and a celebration of life. And so I'd like to ask the Stone family to come forward. Paula, would you like to hold this and hold this for me? Stand out there, there's a little bit more room. And I'm going to read this certificate. Special. Okay, dear, go ahead and open. This honor and remember flag is presented with eternal gratitude and respect in memory of Specialist 4th Class Forrest M. Stone. With this flag, we honor this patriot's unwavering dedication and remember his selfless sacrifice. By displaying this symbol collectively as a nation, we humbly recognize the enormity of your loss and respectfully say thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
And take a picture with my phone. I said, where did that go?
And when does the Stoltz family have to be? I wasn't expecting them to, but just in case. Okay, thank you. So that really is our evening. I mean, as far as our ceremony goes, thank you guys. I know you're hungry. Would you have a prayer come in to pray, Commander?
Yes, sir, I do. I just want to say I did a military funeral this morning for a World War II veteran, and Almighty God, may we honor and remember those who have died, that we might live in freedom. Those that we honor will be a part of our lives forever. We ask for consolation for those who sorrow, and that you vest upon us your everlasting blessing. We are thankful for the lives whom we have remembered here today. May their memories serve as an inspiration to us. Be with us today and give us hope for the future. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Amanda. Is there any protocol here? We just, when it's out, we line up, right?
Yep.
Good. Just to let everybody know that we do have shirts and hats and stuff up here if anybody's interested. We're always asking about the stuff we have. And so, up here, while you're waiting for dinner.
And that concludes our presentation for today. We're going to eat, get some food, cool off. It was pretty warm today. Kristen, say hello.
So, Larry?
See the core team back there, and we'll catch you all tomorrow, 7 a.m. Bye.
Yeah.